Hello, this is WF4. We are having an assignment based on video streaming using RTSP and RTP. Now, what is RTSP? The real-time streaming protocol is an application-level network protocol designed for multiplexing and packet sizing multimedia transport streams such as interactive media, video, and audio over a suitable transport protocol. RTSP is an application layer protocol. RTSP uses TCP to maintain an end-to-end connection. Now we will see what is RTP. A protocol is designed to handle real-time traffic like audio and video of the internet. Is known as real-time transport protocol. RTP must be used with UDP. RTP supports different formats of files like MPEG and MJPEG. In this assignment, we will use MJPEG. It is very sensitive to packet delays and less sensitive to packet loss.
Yeah, so now let us look on the code client launcher.py. In client launcher.py, here we have taken localhost as the server address, 5542 as the server port, 5543 as the RTP port, and the file name has been given as movie.jpeg. Here, in the next step, we have all the constants in the client function, and we have used the master tile to denote the title of the app. Now let us look at the client code. First of all, in the client code, we have initialized all the constant, as you can see here. In the Also in the function init function, it has all the variable initialized. Then in the next function create widget, we are using the create widget to create a GUI window, which will be also our display, which will be also our output. In the create widgets diagram or code, we have three important buttons, which are start, pause, and the tiered out buttons, for which we have already initialized all the text and commands and grids which will be used in the outcome. Next, we have the setup movie function, which is used to set up the STP RTSP request. Then we have the exit client function. In this exit client function, teardown has been used as the setup button, and this exit client function destroys the client request. Similarly, we have the pause movie uh, function, which states that if we have the state of the self as playing, then we can initialize pause, and similarly if we have the state as ready, then we can initialize the play thing. Next, we have the listen RTP function, in which, as you can see, the RTP packet in which header has been taken as a array of size 12. So we are initializing 0 to 111 headers. Also, header is divided into 11 packets. So 4 packets, 4 bytes, which means 32 bits, which equals the header size. Also, sequence number is also divided into 2. Tear down function is also divided, and here we have the write frame functions, update movie functions, and connect to server functions, which is used to connect sockets. Next, we have the send RTSP request, which is used to requesting the threads. That is, if our button is equal to play and if state is equal to ready to play, then we are incrementing the sequence number every time. Also, we are using the transport protocol and the RTP port to initialize the request. Next, similarly, here we are also using request code equal to play. So if the self is play and if our state is equal to ready, then we are incrementing the sequence number, and then session, we are printing the session ID. And next function for tear down is actually very similar to this request code only. Last, we have the received reply, which gives us the reply, and parts RTSP replies, which is replying the session ID of the session. Next, we have the open RTP port, which is opening the RTP sockets, and we are settling the timeout. So if it is exceeding the time, then we are using another RTP port. So this was all about the client side. Now let's move on to the server py. In the server.py, we are initializing the server port by assigning it with the first parameter. In this, we are first of all printing the socket, printing the message usage server by server print, and then in the next code line we are making the socket of it. Next, also we are binding the sockets with the port number. Now what it happens here while true case is that the server goes in the waiting mode after the client request comes, and then after all the execution happens. Now in the server worker.py, as you can see, we are initializing all the variables here, and init function also does the same things, that is, it is initializing the variables. Then we have the receive request RTS, which is making the connection sockets. Then we are tracking them, and then we are decoding it. In the process RTSP request, we are splitting our request lines so that uh, it gets efficient, like the file number and sequence number are getting splitted. Then in the request type function, again the same thing, that if it is equal to play and if the state we are saying is ready, then we are setting our step as the playing mode. Then we are making socket in a client, and we are replying distribution and sending message response if the request is coming as pause. Then finally, similar to the request type equals to play, we have the functions for pause and tear down. Then in the send RTP request and make RTP requests are basically the functions which is for sending the RTP request using the frame number, address, and port numbers, making the RTP request, which is again initializing these variables, and then replying to RTP request by using the sequence numbers also and the connection sockets we have made. And this finally closes our whole setup. Now let us look at the actual implementation. Here we are using two CMD command prompts. First of all, we are going to the path of the folder of the codes. Then first of all, we'll have Python server.py, and we are using our port number 5542. Then in the another command window, we have the client request, again cd Python client launcher .py 55 no localhost 5542 5543 RTP port, and then the name of the file movie.mjpeg. Now if we run this, then we can see the window of the RTP client, and if we click on setup, this has the in the server we get the request, and if we play the button, then our actual video comes up. We can use different buttons like pause, which pauses the video, and tear down gets tear down the whole system. Here we have the multiple requests being shown in the command prompt.